What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
This is
RedPubPod. Wait a minute.
Wait, you did that on purpose.
I thought it was on Bill Maher. Hold on a second. RedPubPod.
a podcast
RedPubPod. There we go.
from Redhawk Publications.
Welcome to RedPubPod. I'm Richard Eller along with Patty Thompson, my colleague. Today we have a very special episode. It's all about the art of storytelling in new and different ways from what Redhawk Publications is accustomed to, is it not?
It is. It's new and exciting.
Yes, and it's also the dawn of what looks to be a new partnership with T. Rafael Cimino and Hailie Tagner, who are our guests today. So welcome to RedPubPod.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your organization.
So Akula Literary Partners is a firm, basically a not-for-profit company that was founded in the midst of COVID to promote women writers, writers of color, and writers of alternative orientation. We offer a base of agency for these writers, a web presence, but more importantly, mentorship, coverage, other types of support services. And it's not just books, but screenwriting, teleplays, some poetry. We do have a music division. And so it covers all gamuts of writing.
It's quite diversified.
Yeah.
Now, can you talk a little bit about your resume, how your many years in film?
So in 1983, I was roped in to become what's called a Marine coordinator for a movie called Spring Break. Sorry, not Summer Break. Spring Break took place in 1983 in Fort Lauderdale. It was kind of a college romp, typical college romp with, bikinis and all that kind of thing. But they had a lot of boating scenes, and they needed someone to wrangle the boats and do all the things that was required. That's how I got the start. And from that, I was recruited by legendary producer John Nicolella for a TV show that was shooting in Miami and was going to be very boat-centric and a lot of boating scenes and so forth. And that TV show became Miami Vice, and 111 episodes later, I thought we did a fairly good job. A lot of people say it's all about the boats, but it kind of is. And I took a break in 2000. I came back to the industry as a writer, and the first project I worked on was as a writer's intern on the film Lost in Translation, directed by Sofia Coppola. And then a lot of others after that, both film and television.
And you're also a novelist.
Yes, so I wrote, 2009, my first book was Mid-Ocean, and it struck a chord. It has a cult following. The books it's out of print, but you can still find a lot of copies on eBay, and they're going for a lot of money. I should have saved a couple cases and then, gradually put them into the water supply. But I learned a lot from that book, and that's going to be the next book that we, I think, re-release, but we'll do it through Redhawk. And it's 1984, it's the drug war, it's South Florida, it's kind of Miami Vice meets Goodfellas, and dealing with both sides, the cops and the crooks. And, people who lived in that era, just they swear by that book, which is, says we got something right. And but...
And there's new product as well? I mean, you're working on something?
Yeah, so Rivertown is in production right now, and we're looking at a spring release for summer read season. And Rivertown is going to be very, very personal to me. I started it in 2016 and 17 and kind of let it sit. It was very painful, very personal at the same time. But those are the best kind. And so at the end of the day, I think the time is going to serve it well. It's set in 2004 and takes place in North Florida. Deals with a lot of topics that we're wrestling with as a nation right now. Divisiveness. 2004 was the re-election campaign of George W. Bush, and very divisive time. And in North Florida, it was a very, very tough time to be on either side. Mix in the Panhandle Pride, which is a white supremacist group, a real group that's featured in the book, and their activities in the Panhandle. It just makes for a very interesting read, and it's based a lot of truth, inspired by a number of different true stories. So.
I have a question for you, because I know that you wrote the first book, Mid-Ocean in 2009, and Rivertown came in 2016, 2017. Yes. When you wrote your first novel, that was probably written as a novel, and if I'm not mistaken, I've heard Rivertown is written with episodic in mind. So I'm kind of curious, how do you determine how you're going to write? Is this my novel, or is this going to be my novel that I'm going to make into a series? So
after I started Rivertown, I was drafted to work on a TV series called Big Little Lies. I did 2 seasons of that. And while those were set on what we call a 7-act structure, so each season has 7 acts, I try to focus on 8 episodes, and the next project I was on was Big Little Lies. Nine Perfect Strangers, and that was all written during COVID, and a lot of it actually written here in Catawba County at our writers' studio on Lake Norman, and that is an 8 episode. So. This is kind of what I was shooting for. 4 parts. Each part has 2 sections within it, coming out to 8 episodes that kind of follow that format. And then when we actually produce the TV, we cross-board, which is we do 2 one-hour episodes at the same time, back to back. And so basically what you're doing is you're producing 4 movies instead of 8 episodes of television.
So how did you end up in Catawba County?
So my wife and I lived in Florida, and we did not like living in Florida, so we decided to leave. The Florida is an interesting place, but one that we wanted to leave desperately. And I think, in all honesty, the biggest problem we had with Florida was the airport. The airports were terrible. I was in LA a lot. We were in New York. We spent a lot of time in Europe, and it was just impossible. We were living in a place called Tallahassee, which is really tough to get in and out of, and having to drive to Jacksonville or Orlando or even Atlanta, really tough. So we decided that we were going to move. We looked at 7 cities, everything from Mystic, Connecticut to Nashville and even Napa Valley. And we kept coming back to Charlotte because of this fantastic airport, and we're big boaters, so the lake was an added plus. And so we first moved to Mecklenburg County, bought 2 places in Mecklenburg County, and then ended up in Catawba County in Charles Ford, and we love it. It's a fantastic place to live, but not really knowing a lot about Catawba County, we were just impressed with how progressive a lot of Catawba County is, and their thought. I'll just give you an example. Sheriff Don Brown and the Catawba County Sheriff's Department is one of the most progressive sheriff departments in the state, utilizing techniques in crisis intervention, de-escalation. Their continuing education for their deputies is just second to none, and ranking at the top for the county and the state. So I'm just glad to be here. It's just a lot of hidden treasures that we had no idea. We got a great deal on a place on the lake, and that's all we cared about. And then we found out, wow, a couple miles to the south, we would have been a different situation. But Catawba, we lucked out. So
I watched the Golden Globes the other night, and I remember, was it Nikki Glaser?
Mm-hmm.
She made a comment in the opening, something like, "Welcome to L.A., where nothing gets shot anymore."
Yeah.
So you're not really missing being in L.A.
Yeah, so we go to LA once a year now. I thought I was going to have to go this month, but that's been canceled. I'm a jurist and a member of the Television Academy, and so my wife and I every year we're there for a week to 10 days around the Emmys, and that's always in the middle of September. That for sure. We have those flights and everything already booked a year ahead of time. I mean, it's just something we do. If I have to go. It's usually for a meeting. There are a lot of right now we're in talks with Selena Gomez and her company Wondermind for 3 projects that we've got, and Selena lives out there, and so that is that's always going to happen. But it could just as well be New York or London or there's a studio we work out of in Bulgaria, and so. In this day and age, you can kind of almost live anywhere. And, we have a great Zoom account, and, that's really kind of all you need in this. Yeah, and listen, I used to go to LA for a week, and I would come home, and it would just take the longest shower and wash it all off. And I just never realized how great it was to come home to a place. And, it's funny because you land and you walk by those rocking chairs in the airport, and it's just, I always have my routines, and it's just so nice. And home is home now.
It's my happy place, Charlotte Airport.
And Florida was never like that. Florida was never like that, and so this is giving us a great experience that we've never had before, and we're just happy to be here. And we're still part of the entertainment industry. I'm still taking probably a dozen calls a day, but I have a cell phone, and I've got a pretty good cell plan, and so I can kind of be anywhere.
You can take your calls on your boat.
I do take my calls on my boat. Yeah, exactly.
Now, Hailie, you wear a couple of hats here because you've been a Redhawk Publications intern, and you work with Akula, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that experience.
It's been very enlightening. It's been a very interesting journey because I can track my kind of like stepping stones of this job through the people that I've been introduced to and that I've made connections with. The biggest surprise to me entering this job and this industry was how little of it I actually needed to do online. I tried and failed for a long time to get any sort of work through the workplace sites like Indeed and LinkedIn, but it was through connecting with my coworkers at a grocery store to being introduced to Patty at an arts event in the community, and then Patty brought me in as an intern for Redhawk, and it was amazing, and it still is, and through that we attended a class. I attended Todd's class. What month was that?
It started the end of September.
The end of September. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And then I got to talk with Todd, and I've started being kind of like his editor for this upcoming project, Rivertown. So while I haven't, my home base is Redhawk, but I've been talking with Todd specifically a lot about just the Akula work and Rivertown, and it's been good. It's been a nice experience. It's definitely kind of like what every college graduate hopes happens, but in a very different way. It is, I didn't expect to get here from where I was when I graduated college in 2023, 24. I don't know. Time is an illusion.
It's been quite a ride.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you're looking for a spouse or you're looking for a partner in life, when you're not looking is when you find the perfect person.
Yeah. And Hailie knows this. When we met her, Rand Brandes and I were working on a project, and we really needed help. We didn't have an extra hand, and we were just bemoaning our fate of how are we going to get somebody who can help us and volunteer. And then someone introduced us at the same event to Hailie, and Rand and I just looked at each other, and it was like, oh my gosh, here she is. And you could just tell she was interested in literature. She was an English major, and she had a writing background, and the rest is history. And that's a note for any young person out there listening. It's like, what do they say luck is? Preparation and good timing?
Yeah, preparation, opportunity. Yeah.
Right, and so she was there at the right time, and there you are.
Yeah.
I printed business cards for that event because I was like, I'm going to print 50 business cards. I'm going to hand out at least 5, maybe. And yeah, that was the first. Patty was the first person who took my pink.
And we ripped the other ones up because we didn't want anyone else to take them.
The other 45. Yeah. Well, it just goes to show that, I mean, websites are great and all that sort of stuff, but there's no substitute for the personal interaction and making a connection with somebody.
Yeah. I will also add that, we've got some really good people out of the class. But there's one that needs to be mentioned, and that is Jessica Zingher. Now, Jessica joined me in 2013. 2012. I was directing, the only time I've ever directed, and it'll be the last time I direct, a project for CAN. And it was a short, and she was my PA, and she was fantastic, and we love her, and she's just fantastic. And, her background's mostly legit with stage productions, and she's a director, and she's fantastic. And she has just grown over the years so much. And one of the things, I always kind of had a more of a grand vision for Jessica, but I kind of wanted her to be more versed on the industry with film and television, and I used the opportunity of this class, and so this week we were able to announce that Jessica is now the president of Akula, which is a big deal for us. And with her stock, it now marks the first time that Akula is a 100% woman-owned entity. And I've taken a step back, and I'll be the chairman and still a part of it, and so forth and so on. But letting women shine and letting women take over what we've started, to me, is a big issue, a big deal, and part of our mission. So.
And the other thing about Jessica, she actually has local roots too. She used to teach at Catawba Valley Community College.
Oh wow! Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the class. What did you think about the level of talent you found and the opportunity to teach here? How did that experience go for you?
I thought it was fantastic. I was, I was continually, every week it was something new that would come out, but I was blown away because what we did 8 weeks of classroom, but then the last period of the 8th week we did these pitches where everyone had to go up and do a pitch and give them some basically develop a mental foundation, a mental anchor for whatever that project is that's their sweet spot. And the projects just completely surprised me. I mean, I had the depth, as deep as I thought they were, I was blown away. Every single one of them was phenomenal.
And not only that, but I actually went out of my way to find some faux judges, if you will, but I had some local people with art chops and entertainment backgrounds. Molly Bass, Ingrid Keller, Thelma Ehle, Kim Stinson, Jane Sinclair, Bobby Knipe. They were all invited, and they all showed up. So I was like, oh, please be good. Not only were the presentations good, they blew our minds. When that class was finished giving their 5-minute pitches, all of us judges, we kind of went and like, what did we just experience? It really did alter the perception of what we realized could be taught in an 8-week class, and to have your students be able to get up there and give legit 5-minute pitches of things we actually envisioned this could happen. That was amazing.
Well, and the class that we're going to do this next semester is, so for the first 8 weeks, we're going to basically duplicate what we did last semester, but then we're going to continue because we had always said this shouldn't be just 8 weeks. It really needs to be a full semester, 16 weeks. And so that's what we're going to do. So anyone who's had the class before can take the first 8 weeks if they want to again. They're more than welcome. But then, definitely come for the last 8 weeks because it'll be all new material.
And one of the things we've noticed with our students, they do tend to take our classes again. The creative writing class, it's going to be offered the 5th time this spring. And the students make community. They make friends, trusted peers, second pair of eyes. So the students enjoy taking these classes again. You never have to worry about that. I should point out, if you're interested in joining this next class, there are still seats available. It's limited, but the next class begins on Wednesday, February 18th. It'll be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for a total of 8 weeks. It ends on April 8th. And if you look at the description of this pod, you'll have information on where you can learn more and, more importantly, register. Because how much is it, Mr. Eller?
It's only $75.
What a bargain.
I know. Tremendous. Hailie, what was your impression of the class? Because you were part of that.
It was a bit funny thing to step into because I had just graduated and I was like, I'm never going to have to sit in a classroom again. And then I sat in a classroom again. But it was a great experience because it was a different kind of atmosphere. I wasn't surrounded by college students anymore. I was surrounded by people who were just passionate about the industry and wanted to learn more. And they weren't just there because their parents told them to. It was neat to kind of like surround myself with that kind of mentality. And it was solid. One night a week. My commute was 45 minutes, so it was worth it. Driving back at night, you could just think about everything that happened in the class, and it gave me a lot to think about, and it also kind of like opened up my mind a little bit to the kind of industry that I'm stepping into.
Because it's a whole different ball of wax when everybody wants to be there and learn something.
Oh, yeah. There's no, like, dead silences. There's no just, like, eyes staring vacantly from the back of the room. There's always just passion and great minds coming up with ideas, asking questions. It was a really neat experience.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
At this point, let's go to a couple of questions that you got from people who were in the class for Todd that relates to screenwriting.
Yeah, it's all about screenwriting in the industry, but it kind of narrows it down to, regarding the industry, for example, what do you wish writers talked more about openly?
Rejection. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of writing careers that are ended with one crassly worded rejection letter, and that's sad. So, one of the things that we talked about with Redhawk is, stopping a writer, saying, okay, this is good, but we can make this better, giving them some really good coverage, good notes, and then mentoring them to the next level. And also understanding that, if you have anything less than 100 contacts and 100 projections, that, that's exceptionally lucky that you get a positive feedback from any of those. So, it's a diligent task trying to sell or trying to get to the next level with any project.
I actually have a manuscript that I started to read over the holidays, and I'm going to have to craft a nice rejection with help, because, again, we're nonprofit, we're different, we're a community college, we have education orientation, so his rejection will be also an invitation to join our creative writing class, because it's his memoir, and he is telling everything. There's no showing, so it doesn't jump off the page. I don't have the character. I don't have any background. It's just like I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this, and it's like 40 pages of that. He can write, but now he needs to how to write better and more engaging, and that's where the education will come in. And I'm looking forward to crafting that letter. And I don't want to kill him. I don't want to kill that ability to want to write. I know he has it in him.
And storytelling is a skill, so it's got to be developed. And from all indications, you did a superb job in developing that class so that many of those folks want to come back for part 2, or maybe even take part 1 over again.
Yeah.
What's your next question?
What belief about storytelling did you have early on in your career or your life, your writing journey, that now you completely disagree with?
there has to be a boundary with personal stuff when plugs and trying to include all of these personal elements. Personality is good and the personal experience is good, but sometimes there has to be a line that you don't cross. And that was tough with Rivertown, because Rivertown is the most personal story that I've ever told. And, it was tough, but, I think we've achieved that. And, with your help as well, Hailie, because, what you've done is parse, my babbling on with some relatable restraint. So it's all good.
Did she kill some of your babies?
No.
And by that I mean your words. Like, how many words was it? And did she have to?
Yeah, so we were at 180,000 words, and I think she's got it down to about 125, which is, pretty good. I mean, it's 25 over what you would consider a commercial novel, but I think it's very compelling, and I think that the readership will identify with it.
Yeah. So speaking of Rivertown and stories in general, where do you find inspiration in for like the stories that you take on to produce or and mentor, or the stories that you write yourself? Where do you find your inspiration?
Yeah, so I wish it were all inspiration. Unfortunately, there are demographic issues, and there are marketing issues, and there are production issues. And one of the things we try to tell the we have a project right now called In the Blind that deals with a hurricane hunter that's crashed in the Gulf of Mexico in the middle of a hurricane, and the rescue efforts and all of that. Unfortunately, that's the latest budget was $97 million to make that movie. It's you want to craft a story that, if you are going to be taking it to film and television, that has a budget, especially if you're if you're the first, you're not going to produce one of these high concept projects like In the Blind, or some of these others that we've seen that are big budget. At the same time, don't be so should I say loyal to the genre. Genre mixing is one of my favorite things to do. I don't do horror, but if I did, I would include comedy. Cocaine Bear was probably one of my favorites this year or last year, and the director's fantastic. Elizabeth Banks is just phenomenal, but combining that with the horror with a lot of comedic. Lake, what was the lake? The big alligator, Lake Placid, was it? Yeah, I think. That's another one that was, Betty White was in that. It was kind of funny.
Sharknado kind of started that.
Yeah, exactly. And so just bending the genres, I think, is really good. Every drama should have you laughing at least once, and every comedy should have you crying at least once as well. One of the shows that we talked about in the class was All in the Family, and how some of those episodes in All in the Family just literally made. I remember when Edith died in All in the Family, and that episode was just epic. This guy that would just make you laugh at every turn, and was also, a racist, and, just somebody you probably didn't want to meet. But, he redeemed, there was some serious redemption there. And, redemption has become its own genre as well. So include a lot of redemption. Every bad guy is, got a little bit of redemption, and every good guy has got his, his skeletons. So.
Do you guys mind if we maybe did a little roundtable guilty pleasures, what we're watching, in terms of serials? Because I know I just ended Pluribus, and to me that was amazing. My husband really likes Landman, so those are the two we're watching, and they're interesting.
Yeah. Landman is mine.
Okay.
That's definitely my guilty pleasure. Landman, let me go back and say, it used to be The Walking Dead, but I got to tell you, The Walking Dead, the writing in The Walking Dead is what makes it so compelling. I almost said vampires. The zombies are just backstory. It's the real human risk that really presents itself, and But Landman is totally a guilty pleasure, and it's very misogynistic. It is what it is.
To say the least.
Anything you're watching?
I've been watching Landman, and I was with it until this last episode, and it did a lot of things to try to alienate me. I tend to really love the fact that documentaries have now become series. And to me, the gold standard, the one I learned so much about and just absolutely loved, was the Stax documentary about Stax Records in Memphis. I mean, it's only 4 episodes, but it's about an hour and a half each episode, and it was totally worth the investment, because I love some of that music, and to find out how it was done, it was just great.
I am really bad at watching television.
I figured as much. You young and you.
I guess the most recent, a few weeks ago, I started watching. I didn't finish the first 2 episodes, but I started watching the Sean Diddy Combs documentary that came out. And I haven't continued watching it, but I really jived with just first of all just the journalism behind it, and how I'm very much appreciating how it's kind of like the pinnacle of this recent, I would say in the last 10 years, that we've seen about industries getting exposed, like the dirty secrets of Hollywood and the dirty secrets of the music industry, and shining a light on how you shouldn't idolize people and entire industries, because all of it, most of it, is built on corruption and crime and everything that Sean Diddy Combs has ever done. But I liked that one, and it was episodic. It's 4 episodes, I think. Yes, it's 4 episodes. I really should finish it. It was a good one.
It is good. And one of the things I will say about the documentaries is you really do sense the bias. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I sign up for drama. I sign up for the episodic. That's there to entertain me. But when you start watching these documentaries, you really have to watch it, because the documentary on Sean Combs is amazing, but there's definitely a slant and a bias, and it may all be true, by the way.
Mm-hmm. And I think you have to do that. It's a point of view that a filmmaker goes into.
50
with
cents
any
goes in.
50 cents.
50 cents goes in. The only reason why I watched it, by the way, was because I saw 50 Cent being interviewed, and he had this little crazy Cheshire grin, and it was so bad. I'm like, let me see.
Yeah, but, you got to laugh at the scenario, okay? Mm-hmm. Diddy hires somebody to film him and then doesn't pay him. And now 50 Cent has all this footage, and he's going to turn it loose. One question: who do you think should play Diddy in the recreation of the documentary?
Wow!
I think Urkel. That would be the ultimate slap in the face to Diddy. Is Urkel?
That's a very Mel Brooks approach to that sort of thing.
Actually, I kind of like
ridicule.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, to get back to the class, you had a pitch for your students at the end of the at the end of the course. Mm-hmm. First, tell me what makes a good pitch.
Well, it's short.
Okay.
So a log line is something that we teach them how to write, and the best thing about a log line is that it's less than 25 words. Steven Spielberg says if you can keep me hooked with the log line that's less than 25 words, that's going to be a really good movie. And so that's what we teach. I've seen some log lines, and they're like, the whole page is a log line. And I'm like, that's a synopsis. Yeah. So,
but you can understand that of writers so in love with this subject that they got to tell you everything about it.
I get it, but the craft of writing is less is more, and when we can do that, and then having an editor that understands how to even take more out of it, that's good.
That's an art
form. Art form in itself. So.
By the way, one of these days we could actually all meet to kind of hang out. And where would we go to eat and drink, Richard?
I think a good place would be Tasteful Beans, who happens to be a sponsor of this program.
owned by Scott Owens, and we all know he's recently been named the City of Hickory's Poet Laureate. Congratulations to Scott.
And he will be there propelling the literary festival, which comes in April, does it not?
Oh, it does. I'm glad you brought that up. Friends and family, especially if you're a Redhawk author, there will be a City of Hickory Literary Festival on Saturday, April 25th, and we really encourage you to come. It'll be a homecoming of sorts, family reunion, many surprises, some authors that you know and love, they'll be there. And, of course, if you're a Redhawk publisher, we'll have a table. So you guys will be able to sell your books there. So we're looking forward to that.
We are. And to kind of wrap this up, one of the things I think that is interesting about the partnership that we're exploring right now is the fact that we're both involved in educating the public. You know, we believe that this is an extension of the college's mission to educate folks, not just in the classroom, but with anything they read that might be a Redhawk Publications. But Akula is also of that mind, correct?
Yeah, so, it's not just entertaining, it's educating. In the class, we have the opportunity to bring in some cast members from the West Wing and actually speak to our students and let them, talk to her and get, ask questions and all these other things, and on a Zoom. And, the West Wing is regarded as probably one of the best courses, albeit television and a series in civics and in American government. And that was TV. That wasn't a classroom. That wasn't, a book. And so, that's our mission, is to not just entertain, but to inform and to hopefully change minds. And, the best films are those that, you're thinking about the next day or even the next week, and things that you learned and different points of view, especially in such a diverse society that we have right now, and the attempts to squelch the diversity, teaching people about diversity and teaching people about other people's points of view. And we seem to have kind of latched on into this ethnocentrism again. And I think that through film and television, we have an opportunity to combat that.
Just like a good book that you're thinking about long after, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I know. I think we take great pride in the fact that we really will print. I mean, not everything, but we have authors that are Christian and conservatives. We have authors that are LGBTQ and all different races and neurodivergent. If it's well written and if it needs a little help, we'll get you there. But the fact is, we also want to make sure that we get work out there that represents everyone, and it makes it for interesting reading, and people get to learn about other different people. So,
and if you can teach someone without them knowing they've been taught something, that's part of the storytelling.
That's a good trick right there. Yeah, if you can.
Well, you're an instructor. You know more than that than anybody.
Well, but I don't have classes like Todd where they all want to be there. I mean, some there to get the 3-hour history credit, and some are interested. So, it's a bit of a mixed bag. So,
I bet. Well, I do want to hope everyone gets a chance to like, share, and subscribe to RedPubPod. In addition, all of our social media platforms. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn, and I hate saying X, but every once in a while I have some people that I have to promote on X. So check us out.
So many things going on, and we certainly look forward to what happens in the future between Akula and Redhawk Publications. Thank you for being on RedPubPod. Just one last thing, if you could say the name of the show here, the podcast, we would certainly appreciate it, and that's the way we go out.
RedPubPod. Wait a minute.
Wait, you did that on purpose.
I thought it was on Bill Maher. Hold on a second. RedPubPod. There we go.
RedPubPod.
RedPubPod.
This has been RedPubPod.
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 A podcast
RedPubPod.
from Redhawk Publications.
RedPubPod. RedPubPod.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.